Welcome and thank you for joining today's webinar, Mobilize and Organize Your Job Search. Again, I'm Nicole Skelski, a member of your Walden University Career Services team. And with me are my colleagues, Senior Career Services Advisors, Angie Lira and Denise Pranke. Are you ready for an active job search? Are you updated on the latest strategies to organize the process? We are glad you have joined us to discuss key tips and leave you with practical tools that you can use. For those of you who are not familiar, here is our Career Services Center team, located in the Minneapolis, Minnesota office. We all have master's degrees in diverse educational and work backgrounds. Our Walden University Career Services Center aspires to be a cutting-edge global career services center, preparing our learners to navigate career transition over a lifetime. To achieve this vision, we educate, coach, and advise our learners to proactively manage their careers. Now on to our objectives. Today we will review tips to mobilize your job search, followed by reviewing tools you can use to stay organized during your job search. And before we jump into our topics, we'd like to engage our audience with a poll and get feedback from you. Please let us know what prompted you to join our webinar today. Are you thinking about a job search and would like strategies for getting started? Or are you already in an active job search and would like tips to get better organized? So we'll give everyone a minute to choose their answer. Again, are you thinking about a job search and would like strategies for getting started? Or are you already in an active job search and would like tips to get better organized? Okay, we're going to go ahead and close the poll and share the answers with everyone. It looks like it's almost divided 50-50, but we have a higher number of participants saying that they're already in the active job search and would like tips to get better organized. Okay, you definitely came to the right place. And that is very helpful because we will be providing a lot of tips. And actually in our advising appointments, we do get a lot of students. In fact, I have some today that are frustrated with their active job search and maybe need additional strategies to move forward. So you definitely came to the right place. So thank you for giving us that insight. And now I'm going to hand things over to Denise to discuss how to mobilize your search.
Thanks, Nicole. So during this session, we want to provide steps and tips to guide you on getting started and taking a strategic approach to your job search. If we take a step back and look at the big picture, a job search is a project that in very broad terms includes self-assessment, researching jobs and employers, and marketing yourself. The more strategic you are in these areas, the more likely the result will be a job that's a good fit for you. We created a checklist with 11 steps to help you navigate the process and mobilize your search. So next, to get started, assess your situation. This may only take a few minutes of reflection, or it may take much longer depending on your situation. Ask yourself, why are you looking for a new position? For example, are you currently employed, but there are no opportunities for growth in your current organization? Are you transitioning to a new field? Or were you laid off? Or are you concerned that there may be a layoff in the near future? If you're unemployed, assess your financial situation to determine the urgency of finding a new position. Do you have any geographical constraints? Is relocating an option? The reason you're searching will impact what you want in a new position. Also be aware that the reason and urgency of your search may have an impact on your emotions. Be sure to pay attention and take care of your emotional well-being. Stay positive and confident throughout your search. So next, create a routine. The time you invest in your search will vary depending on the urgency of your search. If it is urgent that you find a new position as soon as possible, then your search will essentially be a full-time job. When planning your routine, consider the time of day that works best for you. Do you have a dedicated space at home where you can focus on your search, or does it work better for you to go to a coffee shop or a library? And then next, determine your long-term goals and what short-term goals will help you get there. For example, if your goal is a full-time faculty position, your short-term goal may be to find an adjunct faculty position to gain teaching experience. Keep in mind, it will be difficult for people to help you if you're not clear on what you want. You should also have an idea of your budget to help you determine your minimum salary requirement. If this is your first job in your chosen industry, you may have to adjust your salary expectations to match your market value. And then next, assess what are you good at? What do you enjoy? What do you value? And what are you passionate about? Also reflect on what is motivating you to pursue your degree. It will be much easier to convince someone to hire you to do something you enjoy doing. We have a number of self-assessment tools on the Career Services website under the Resources tab in the heading of Self-Knowledge, so you can also meet with a Walden Career Advisor to help you explore these areas. And now you're ready to research jobs and their qualifications. You want to narrow your search to specific job targets. Examine the qualifications, and if you have any gaps, make a plan to close the gaps. For example, if you need experience, consider volunteering to gain that experience. If you don't meet the core qualifications for a position, reassess your job target. Even though the job market has improved from a few years ago, it's still competitive, and your time is too valuable to apply for positions where it's highly unlikely that you will make the cut to get an interview, let alone an offer. And then next, research employers along with their open positions that match your job target. Consider their mission and vision, products and services, and location. Make a list of at least 10 potential employers to follow. In addition to the organization's website, the sites listed here offer tools to help you with your search. LinkedIn is the #1 online networking tool with over 460 million members, including companies and job listings. LinkUp is a search engine that posts jobs directly from company websites. You can use Twitter to follow employers and industry leaders and recruiters. Indeed.com and simplyhire.com are job search aggregates that compile listings from numerous job boards. Glassdoor.com and Payscale.com can be used to research salary information in your industry and geographical area. And finally, SmartBrief's e-newsletters deliver articles on the latest trends by industry or function. SmartBrief also provides industry-specific job boards. Online research is convenient, but also take your research offline. You can do this by attending local professional association meetings, reading area business newspapers or trade magazines, or simply paying closer attention to the organizations and industries in your own neighborhood. And then next, after you've determined what you want, defined your job targets, and explored potential employers, you want to be able to articulate what differentiates you from others in your field. What are you known for among colleagues? What are you most proud of in your professional life? In other words, what is your professional brand or reputation? What do you have to offer that's unique to you? If your goal is to transition to a new role or field, create a strategy to rebrand yourself for your new role. Some suggestions to build your brand are join and become active in a professional association, deliver a brown bag session, take on stretch assignments for your current employer, volunteer, serve on a board. If the concept of branding is new to you, visit the Networking and Branding tab on the Career Services website for more information. And then next, update your marketing materials. Your resume and cover letter should be tailored to your job target. They should showcase your professional brand and include accomplishments and achievements unique to you. Quantify your accomplishments if possible. Also be sure that your formatting is consistent and polished. A portfolio may be the best marketing tool for you to showcase examples of your work. The optimal resume system on the Career Services website is an excellent tool to use with over 200 sample resumes, resume templates, and a portfolio feature. It also has a great interview prep feature as well, and sample cover letters and a website builder feature. To use the system, just set up a free account using your Walden email address. We also have archived webinars dedicated to the topic of crafting your resume or curriculum vitae. If you're not familiar with a curriculum vitae, or a CV for short, this document is often referred to as your academic resume and is used for searching for a higher education teaching position. If you're a doctoral student, you should have both a resume and a CV. Keep in mind you can also make an appointment with a Career Services advisor to provide feedback on your resume, CV, or cover letter. Also, update your online presence. Google yourself to see what a potential employer would find, and check your privacy settings. Update your LinkedIn profile to showcase your relevant skills for your target positions. And keep in mind that LinkedIn is a major tool for recruiters and hiring managers to search for talent. In a 2014 Job Bite survey, 93% of recruiters plan to use social media to support their recruiting efforts. And if you want more information on how to use LinkedIn, we have a series of excellent archive webinars on LinkedIn. Your professional network is the most powerful resource you have and should be central to your search. We recommend that you have both an online and an offline networking strategy. Connect with others through LinkedIn, join and contribute to LinkedIn groups, join professional associations, and attend meetings and conferences, volunteer, hold informational interviews, and let people in your network know you're looking for a new position. Also, if you're currently employed, consider expanding your professional circle outside of your current department and organization. And finally, if you targeted the right positions, prepared strong marketing materials, and reached out to your network, you should get interviews. So to prepare for the interview, research the organization, review the job description and qualifications, prepare relevant stories and examples from your experience to showcase your qualifications, decision-making, leadership, and professional brand. Also prepare some questions to show your interest in the position. Be sure that your voicemail is functioning properly and that you have a professional voicemail greeting. Also prepare 3 references. Be sure to ask each one if they're willing to serve as a reference for you. Let them know the organization and title of the position you are interviewing for. And as I previously mentioned, practice. The optimal resume system on the Career Services website has a great interview prep feature to help you practice. The more prepared you are for the interview, the more confident and relaxed you'll be. And then after the interview, Remember to send a thank you and reflect on what went well and if there was anything that could have gone better. And if you don't hear back, be sure to follow up. Hopefully the interview will result in an offer, but if it doesn't, don't be discouraged. Just keep up your search. So this checklist is an overview of what to consider to mobilize your search. And we took a big picture view. We have resources on the Career Services website that go into much more depth if you'd like more detail. And so next, I'm going to turn it over to Angie for information on how you can organize your job search. Angie?
Thanks, Denise. Now that you've prepared for a job search, you need to think about how you're going to stay organized. This includes organizing your documents and tracking your applications. I recently spoke with a student who submitted a resume for a position that he was very interested in, and he was so excited to receive an email from the recruiter in his email box, but once he read it, he was quickly disappointed. The recruiter stated that while she found his experience and his skills compelling, she would not be bringing him in for an interview. Why? Because he accidentally sent a cover letter addressed to their biggest competitor. We do not want this to happen to you. We want to provide you with the tools and tips to stay organized during your search. First, you will need to organize your documents. When embarking on a job search, you will want to develop a strong resume, cover letter, and list of references, and each of these documents should be tailored to the specific position which you are applying. To put that in perspective, let's say that you apply for 5 jobs and you develop a unique resume, cover letter, and reference list for each. Take those 5 jobs times 3 documents each. That's 15 unique documents to keep track of. In addition to your resume, cover letter, and references, you will want to save a copy of each job description. All too often, we hear from students that they apply for the position, get called in for the interview, but they can't find the job description to prepare. Most companies will remove the job description once they start interviewing, leaving you with nothing to reference unless you previously saved that description. So how do you go about organizing these documents? A tried and true method is to develop a folder management system on your computer. You will start with a folder titled Job Search and then create new folders for each position you apply to. So in this instance, there's a folder titled Smith Accounting in the Job Search folder, and inside you will save the tailored resume, cover letter, references, and job description. You may also utilize free services such as Dropbox or Google Drive to save your documents in the cloud. That way they could be accessed by any computer or even by your mobile device. Also consider organizing your job search related emails. Save your job correspondence in folders so they will not get lost in a cluttered inbox. Use a personal email account that you check every day for your job search. If your personal account is full of clutter, you may want to create a separate email account for your job search. Your email address should be professional, and keep in mind that it is not wise to use your work email if you're searching outside your current organization. Create a folder for employer emails. Even if an employer responds to let you know that you were not selected for an interview, still save that email because it may be useful to have their contact information for future applications. So while you'll probably not create a separate folder for each organization where you apply, it's a good idea to create folders for organizations where you're invited to interview. That way you're going to have crucial information at your fingertips like the address, phone number, and contact name. Now, if you want to explore a more cutting-edge approach to organizing your application documents, Optimal Resume is a great option. As Denise mentioned, Optimal Resume is a tool to help you develop top-notch application materials. In addition to helping you develop those materials, Optimal Resume is a great document management system. Once you start developing documents, they will be saved in the Document Center and categorized by type, either resume or cover letter. We recommend that you name each unique resume and letter to the specific position which you are applying to for easy access if you need to reference in the future or to print it out for an interview. You can access Optimal Resume from our website or by going directly to waldenu.edu. search.optimalresume.com. So now that you've organized your application documents, you need to develop a method to track your job search. It's important to track the details of your search so you're able to follow up when necessary and you know who to follow up with. A traditional method of tracking your search is with an Excel document. For each position you apply to, you want to keep track of the date you applied, the job title, employer, contact name, phone number, email address, job close date, interview date, and follow-up steps. You can also have a column for additional notes, like if you were referred by someone, if you're in the same professional organization, or any other information that you don't want to forget. Now, while this is a tried and true method that's been around for a while, it's still a great tool that many of us are familiar and comfortable with. In addition to this traditional method, there are a handful of resources available online at no cost. So let's take a look at a few. Did you know that applicants who apply to job opportunities on the first day they're posted are 10% more likely to get the job? That is why many job seekers use mobile apps to identify opportunities when they're not in front of their computer. Job search applications like Indeed, LinkedIn Job Search, and ZipRecruiter can do more than just identify opportunities. The LinkedIn app allows you to apply from your phone with your LinkedIn profile instead of a traditional resume and cover letter. It will also allow you to see the recruiter who posted the position, and having access to their contact information can make it easier to follow up. ZipRecruiter collects open positions from multiple job boards across the internet, like Monster, Career Builder, and Simply Hired. It also allows you to use your saved resumes from Dropbox or Google Drive so you can apply for positions with just one tap. The app keeps track of all of the jobs you've applied to, and you can see the status of your profile. Indeed.com is one of the most popular job search sites for applicants, and it has over 140 million job seekers which use Indeed each month. Their app allows you to search nearby job opportunities from a database of over 16 million jobs. You can apply for some positions directly, but it also allows you to save and email your favorite jobs. You can even set a reminder to apply later. The app also allows you to follow companies so you can be automatically notified when they post new positions. Apps are a great way to take your job search with you, but there are other websites that can help keep your job search on the right track. Startwire is America's #1 job search organizer and a great all-around tool for searching for and tracking job opportunities. Startwire recommends jobs based on your experience and the previous positions you have viewed and applied for. Once you've uploaded your resume, you can apply quickly from the Startwire site. In addition, it connects to the application tracking systems at many major companies so they can provide you with real-time updates on where you stand in the application process. It also provides email updates when your status changes. This site also has a plugin that you can install on your browser which keeps track of online applications automatically with most major job sites and over 10,000 corporate job sites. Once the tracker records your application, you can go into the website and set notes and reminders to follow up. Jibberjobber was created by Jason Alba in 2006 when he was in a job search of his own. He was using a spreadsheet but quickly outgrew it because of how many jobs he was applying to. He created Jibberjobber to organize and manage a job search, track personal and professional relationships, target companies, and track job applications. This platform allows you to add information as you progress in a specific application, and it can even create action items and reminders for yourself. The regular account is free, but you can choose to upgrade to a premium account with additional tools for a low monthly fee. So which of these options do we recommend? That is a decision that you have to make based on what will work best for you. But the key point here is that we strongly urge you to find a way to manage your documents and track your search so you are absolutely ready when you get called in for an interview. So now that we've learned some techniques to mobilize your job search and some strategies to keep that job search organized, it's time to put everything together. I want to share some advice from McDougall and Sanders Park from their book, The 6 Reasons You'll Get the Job. They advise you to place yourself in the shoes of the employer. Employers are interested in your presentation. Are you able to present yourself in a professional manner that fits with their culture? Your ability. Can you do the job or can you learn it quickly? Focus on your experience and skills that fit their needs. If you're in a career transition, focus on your transferable skills. Dependability. Are you reliable and trustworthy to work within the company's best interest? Motivation. How can you demonstrate that you are enthusiastic about the position? Research the company and prepare questions to ask during the interview to show your interest. Attitude. Are you on board with their mission and their goals? Do you have a genuine interest in the employer? And finally, network is also important. How are you connected to other professionals in the field? Who do you associate with? And do you know anyone who can put a good word in with you? At this time, we would like to open it up for questions. So please use the question box to submit any questions that you have. Any questions rolling in, Nicole?
Yes, it looks like we do have questions coming in. Okay, Angie, I'll hand this one to you.
Sure.
How do we know what the average pay is when I'm seeking a part-time adjunct position, preferably online or remote?
There's a few different ways that you can research that. There are websites called like Glassdoor and PayScale where you can research to find out some of the rates. I will say, though, that in my personal experience, those sites often will inflate the pay for a little bit, so you should by a little bit, so you should be prepared for that. And in addition, if you have not done so already, you can do informational interviews with a trusted friend or associate, and sometimes they can give you an insight on pay.
Great, Angie, thank you. Denise, I have a question from a student who asks, what is a brown bag session?
Oh, a brown bag session, for example, would be maybe in your course you wrote a paper about a topic that's relevant to your current employer. So you might arrange for a brown bag session would be a time over a lunch where people would bring their lunch. That's why it's called brown bag. And you would talk about your findings or what you learned or share some information that would be relevant to them. For example, you know, at Walden there are a number of staff members who are in Walden programs, and especially at the doctoral level. They might hold a brown bag session, and then we bring our lunch in and we listen to them talk about their research and their findings. So it's an excellent way to give a presentation and for those attending to learn more about the field.
Great, Denise. Thank you very much. Angie, a student has a question and she says, I have been in the job search for a while with limited success. How do you know how to follow up when submitting resumes through sites like Career Builder or Monster? What are your recommendations on following up on the application status?
This is a great question because I think a lot of people don't realize that it is a good idea to follow up. When you apply online directly with a job search site, you're kind of putting yourself at a disadvantage because it is more of a third party. You want to do some research on that site directly, so go directly to the employer's website. Oftentimes, you would be surprised how often if they have HR information right on the website. And that's a great way to call in and ask to speak to the hiring manager for that position. You can also do research on LinkedIn. As we mentioned earlier in the program, if the job is posted on LinkedIn, it often shows the recruiter who's hiring for that position so you can ask for them directly. When in doubt, you can always just call to the main line and ask to speak with someone in HR to follow up. When it comes to follow-up, anticipate that you may not reach anyone. It may be a matter of leaving a phone message, and that's okay. What I usually say is leave a message 1 week, the next week send an email, and then the following week leave a phone message, and the 4th week you're done. At that point, just let it go. But it is a good way to show that you're persistent, particularly if you're in a business field. I think that's very important.
Great. Thank you, Angie. Oh, we have some great questions here. Another question, Denise. Do you have any suggestions for building my professional network with Walden students or alumni?
Oh, absolutely. So if through LinkedIn you can search for Walden alumni, and you can look by geographical area, so you might even be able to connect with others in your geographical area through LinkedIn. Definitely join Walden's Alumni Association as well. You can connect virtually with Walden colleagues over LinkedIn as well. And then, you know, in your classroom as well, you know, get to know people.
Great. Perfect. Okay, Angie. This student says, the biggest problem I'm running into is that I don't have a lot of experience yet. How do I address this when applying for a job that requires experience? How can I get experience if nobody will give me a chance to gain the experience?
Yeah, it's kind of a catch-22. A good way to get experience is to volunteer, and that is something that we suggest a lot to folks, is to get some volunteer experience as a way of kind of getting into the field. It really depends on your field of study, but there are a lot of skills that you can gain through a volunteer activity or an activity through a professional development association or even through your academic work that can demonstrate to that employer that you do have the transferable skills and the hands-on skills that you need. Another good way to do that is that when you're putting your resume together is to make sure that you're highlighting that volunteer experience and demonstrating what those skills are so that employer can make the connection. But volunteering is a great way to get experience if you're having trouble getting that entry-level position.
Excellent. Great. Denise, how does one handle a question when asked to list their desired salary, like in a job application?
Generally, what you'd want to do is put a range in, and that range should be based on research. Like Angie mentioned, you know, go to PayScale or Glassdoor or Salary.com and look at what a reasonable range would be in your geographical area, because a lot of times salaries vary a lot depending on where you live. So you really want to look in the area of the job, where that area would be located, and then put a range in. And
Great.
yeah.
Okay. Did you want to add anything
else?
else?
Nope, that's it. Thanks.
Okay, great. Angie, a student asked, does Career Services have information as far as preparing to dress for a job interview?
Yep, so when you're looking to prepare for a job interview, you want to keep in mind the company culture. So not all companies are formal organizations and not all companies are casual organizations. Usually research can show you that, but when in doubt, you can always call and ask the receptionist what the dress code is there. But you want to take what the normal dress code is for that company and then go one step above that. To prepare adequately for an interview. The most important thing is that it's something that makes you feel sharp, put together, and confident, and that you feel is appropriate.
Great. Denise, a student asks, is the Walden Optimal Resume System available after graduation?
Yes, it is. Just use your Walden email address to set up an account. That would be the only thing to keep in mind. And yes, it's absolutely available, and it's an excellent tool. We just get such fantastic feedback from students using it. So really go in and explore the sample resumes, the CVs that are there, and you can create a portfolio. The interview prep feature is excellent. It's really fun. You can record yourself giving an interview. There's like a Skype person that's pre-recorded that will come up and ask you questions, and then you answer the question. You record yourself so you can review your recording. I worked with one student, and he had, I think, 5 interviews with no offers, and he reached out to us, and then he practiced extensively with Optimal Resume, and he got an offer after his very next interview. And he credits the Optimal Resume system for helping him get that offer.
Oh, that's great.
That's
Denise.
awesome.
Yeah, thanks. Angie, so if a student applies and then gets a email from the employer saying that the employer will contact him or her if they're seeking an interview, but should we still follow up?
So that kind of depends on the email. If it was kind of a canned email that they just automatically send out through the application tracking system to all applicants, I would say you're still okay to follow up. The one exception would be if they specifically put in the job posting, do not contact us, then obviously do not contact them. But in most cases, I think it pays to follow up.
Okay, great. Denise, one of my instructors mentioned something about Walden Career Connections. Can you explain what that is, please?
Oh, yes, great. Walden Career Connections is our new online networking system that we got, I think it was sometime maybe in 2016 in March. And so Career Services, we host online networking hours where you can log in and register, and you can network with other Walden students and alumni. You can chat with them for up to 10 minutes, and you can really meet people globally. And we actually, I think there's a slide about our upcoming Career Connections events, so that's one way we use the system. We have networking events for all Walden students. We have some specific to colleges, and then we also use the system for drop-in advising. We usually host at least 1 hour of drop-in advising a month where you can register and then drop in and ask us some questions related to your career, and we'll give you some response. So it's really fun. Students love it. It's fun. You can really connect with others. And so that'll be coming up. Nicole will have a slide about our upcoming Career Connections events. So thanks for asking that question.
Yeah, great question. We have lots of great questions. Angie, this is a question about the interview. How should one answer the question, what are your weaknesses? And tell us something we don't know about you. Are these trick questions?
Good question. They're not necessarily trick questions. For the first one, which is what are your weaknesses, the employer is trying to gauge, are you self-aware? All people have weaknesses, that is a known fact, and how you can describe those weaknesses in an honest way is important. The important thing about giving a weakness, though, is that you want to not only tell them what your legitimate weakness is, but you want to tell them what you have done to mitigate that weakness. So, for example, if you said, well, I have realized over the years that I have a tendency to be a bit disorganized, especially when I get busy. So as a result, I have put processes in place for myself to help keep me organized during those very busy times so that I do not have any loose ends. So that way I admitted a true weakness about myself, but I also let them know how am I managing that weakness. If you give a really pithy answer like, oh, my weakness is I work too hard, that's something that employers see through right away. So you want to be honest, but you don't want to be so honest. Like if your job is that you're applying for a financial analyst, you don't want to say, I'm not great with numbers, right? That would be too weak. You want to kind of keep a balance there. Now in terms of
tell us something we
don't know about you, I think the employer is trying to gauge, can you think on your feet? So can you show us some personality and can you think on your feet? So this would be a good example of how you could interject a little personality in the interview and maybe not talk directly about what's on your resume, but give them some input about themselves that they're going to find interesting, but something that is also going to be appropriate. So can you think on your feet in that way?
Great. Oh, Denise, does Optimal Resume have an ePortfolio option?
Yes, it does. It's excellent, and we strongly encourage students to create Eportfolio and use that system. And you can include your resume in there, some your references, any maybe papers that academic papers that you're really proud of, any certificates, those would just be some examples of things that you could include in an ePortfolio. And then you could even put on your resume, if you're sending your resume off, you could have a link on your resume to your ePortfolio. You could put a link on your LinkedIn profile to your ePortfolio if you'd like.
Excellent. Okay, we'll take a few more questions before we wrap it up. Angie, is it still acceptable to send an actual thank you note like in the regular snail mail versus just an email thank you note?
Absolutely, and not only is it acceptable, I think it's a very nice idea that differentiates you from other candidates, especially if you can kind of tie it into your brand. So for instance, if you're a teacher and you have some stationery that kind of brands you as a creative individual or as a teacher, that can be a really nice way to distinguish yourself. The only exception to that would be if at the end of the interview you ask them what are the next steps and they say we're looking to make a decision within the next 2 days, you might not want to risk putting anything through the mail. You might want to send a quick email. But in most cases, I think it's a lovely idea to send a handwritten thank you. It sets you apart and it really shows who you are.
Great, Angie, thanks. Okay, it looks like most of our questions have been answered. You guys sent in a lot of great questions. Let's maybe just take one more about a couple about volunteering that sort of overlap. Denise, how would you recommend leveraging a volunteer experience when it's not directly related to your job target?
I would still include it on your resume under community service so the employer can see that you're involved in your community. And then really think about it and think, are there any transferable skills from that position that you could talk about? Maybe there's something that you did that might be transferable. Also think about the people that you met while you were volunteering. Is there anyone that you could connect to and talk about your career goals that might be able to help you reach your goals?
Great. Thank you, Denise.
And thank you all for having such phenomenal questions. You were all so engaged. So as we wrap up, I want to share some resources for you. First, here is a screenshot of the Career Services website where you can, and you can get to it from your My Walden portal on the Academics tab. A fast way to find resources related to a specific topic is to use the Quick Answers tool feature, which is circled in red here. For example, if you're interested in finding resume resources, type the word resume and you will get a list of resources. For those of you, a lot of you have really great questions about interviews. You can type interview into that box and we're going to give you lots of resources like sample interview questions and tips on what to wear and how to answer some questions. Next, you will find resources from today's presentation. We gave you a lot of websites and online tools that you can use in your job search, so we want to make sure that you have those. In addition, there is a handout today with a checklist of all the ways that you can mobilize and organize your job search, and it's a really great resource that you can use to get started or to refresh your job search, because I know a lot of you are already in an active job search. So we want to leave you with a final thought. Do not wait to strike until the iron is hot, but make it hot by striking. Please keep this thought in mind as you're starting your job search, or for those of you who have already embarked on your job search. The key to a successful job search is consistent effort and activity. So be confident in what you have to offer, work hard, and you will be successful.
Excellent. Thank you, Angie. And finally, please stay in contact with Career Services by joining our Walden Career Services LinkedIn. You can do that on our website. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook, view the archived webinars. on our YouTube channel, and also read student success stories on our blog. And as I mentioned, you can also access additional resume resources on the Career Services website or email us directly with your questions.